A 911 call came in from Las Vegas, but what the caller said didn't sound human. He told the operator something had just fallen from the sky into his backyard. At first, it sounded like a crash, but then they saw it. He said the figures were tall, at least 8 to 10 feet, and not human, watching them from the darkness. Police were dispatched immediately because this wasn't just a story, it was a real emergency call. And when officers arrived, something about the scene felt wrong. Because whatever landed that night was still there. The caller wasn't joking. You could hear it in his voice. He was terrified. He told the operator there were 2 figures standing in his backyard. Not animals, not people, something else. He said they were at least 8 feet tall, with large eyes and thin bodies. And they weren't just standing there, they were watching. The caller kept repeating, "They're not human! They're not human!" The operator tried to stay calm, but this wasn't a normal call. Because just minutes before that call, something had already been seen, falling from the sky. Multiple people reported it, a bright object cutting through the darkness right above Las Vegas. And whatever that object was, it didn't just disappear, it landed. The family stepped outside, their hearts pounding, and there they were, tall, silent, watching, not moving, not making a sound, just staring. The children screamed. The parents froze. Time seemed to stop. One of the creatures moved, and the ground beneath it seemed unnatural. It wasn't walking. It floated. The parents could barely breathe, and they realized they were completely unarmed. Then one of them turned and locked eyes with the father, a gaze that didn't feel human. Within minutes, police were already on their way. They arrived expecting a routine call, maybe a misunderstanding. But the moment they stepped out, something felt off. The air felt heavy. The street too quiet. The family rushed toward them, trying to explain what they saw. Tall figures in the backyard watching them. So the officers went in to check for themselves. They scanned the entire yard, expecting to find something, anything. But there was nothing there. No movement, no sound, just silence. Until one of the officers noticed it. Something on the ground. A strange mark, like something had just landed there, and whatever it was already gone. Officers continued searching the area, but something strange was already happening. Their body cameras were recording everything, every movement, every second. But when the footage was later reviewed, something didn't make sense. In one moment, the yard looked completely empty. But in the next, something was there. Not clearly visible, not fully formed, just there. And then it was gone again. Some viewers said it was just shadows or camera distortion. But others noticed something else. Something harder to explain. A shape standing just outside the light, watching. As if it knew it was being recorded. And then the footage cut. Right before anything could be confirmed. When the footage was released, people expected answers. Instead, they got questions. Parts of the Bodycam recordings were missing. Moments that should have been there were gone, and no one could explain why. Some said it was just technical issues, a glitch, a simple error, but others believed it was removed. Because right before the cut, something appeared. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. And then the footage cuts, leaving behind just enough to raise questions, but never enough to prove what was really there. When the footage hit the internet, everything changed. People started watching it, frame by frame, looking for anything they missed. And then someone saw it, hidden in the shadows, just outside the light. Too tall, too still, too wrong. It wasn't a glitch. It was there. Watching the officers the entire time, and somehow no one noticed it that night. By now, the internet was divided. Some believed the family completely. They said it was real. Something landed, and something was still there. But others called it fake, a hoax, or just shadows in the dark. And then there was a third theory, that something was seen, but not everything was shown. That parts of the truth were removed, and what was taken out might be the most important part. But then, people noticed something strange. The family's story kept changing. Small details didn't match. Timelines didn't line up. And some things were added later. But that wasn't the strangest part. Because when people slowed the footage down, even more appeared. Not one figure, but more. Standing just outside the frame, as if they were never meant to be seen. Eventually, officials responded. They said it was simple. The object in the sky was just a meteor. And the creatures, just imagination. That was their explanation. But people weren't convinced, because the timeline didn't match. The footage didn't match. And the fear felt real. So if it wasn't what they said, then what really happened that night? To this day, no one knows what really happened. No clear evidence. No confirmed answers. Just questions and something people can't explain. because whatever was in that backyard was seen by more than one person and possibly recorded. But the most important part was never shown. And maybe that's exactly why.